All right, and welcome to episode 30 of the Mark Groupie Outdoors podcast. We are coming to you live from the Wyoming Elk Hills in our mobile recording studio, aka our jumping jack trailer. We have got an awesome group of guys today. We have Mark Groupie himself, the man, the myth, the legend. We also have Caleb Copeland, a renowned field producer in the outdoor industry. We have Chris Irwin, who has been doing photography in the outdoor industry for longer than I have been alive. And we also have me, Ryer Porter, the millennial. We are talking a lot about our Wyoming elk hunt. It's something that we've been preparing for a long time here, and so we're going to talk about kind of some of the preparations that went into it on the hunting side of things. We're also going to talk a little bit about the preparations that went into it on the photography and filming side of things, and also a little bit about how we go about filming a hunt, and then we're going to talk about the hunt in general, how it's been going, what we're expecting, and that sort of thing. It's going to be an awesome podcast. Listen up. We hope you enjoy.
Booster, go. Retro, go. Vital, we're go flying. Guidance, go. Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
I feel the need for speed.
You gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Join us or die.
All right, we are live in Elk Camp. It is myself, Caleb Copeland, Ryer Porter, Chris Irwin, and Mark Groupie. We are all sitting here in Mark's jumping jack trailer, and we've decided that we wanted to do a podcast since this four groups of wonderful minds might not ever be in the same tent again.
There may never be this much IQ, cumulative power in this.
We've only been here for day and a half, 2 days, Irwin and I have. We drove, Irwin rode with me from Georgia, 27-hour drive. You guys drove from California. And I'd like to say we met in the middle, but y'all had the shorter drive.
I got the better end of the deal on that one.
You definitely did.
Next time we need to do a hunt in like Oklahoma or something like that.
I'm all for that. Yeah, and make you guys drive a long way. But
Missouri is good.
We're gonna kind of dual purpose this podcast. We're gonna use this for Redneck Tech and for Mark Groupie Outdoors podcast. Or is it called the Community Show podcast now? Is it still called Mark Groupie Outdoors podcast?
It's the Mark Groupie Outdoors podcast.
Okay, the Mark. So it will be used for both of those podcasts. I didn't know if y'all changed the name when you changed. Okay, so
No, we like to confuse people.
okay, well,
I'm confused. It confuses me.
You should hear how many takes it usually takes for us to get our social media shtick right the first time.
yeah, well, we're probably not even gonna have time for that because we're gonna keep this thing short and sweet because Irwin and I are still not caught up on our sleep from our drive. I tried to take a nap today and it didn't work. It was hotter than blue hell in my tent, so that didn't work either. But Irwin's packed. I got to take him to the airport in the morning, so this will be the last opportunity for us to get this going. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things, and I'm sure you guys might have a couple of ideas as well. But first thing I asked Mark the other day is a philosophical question. And we've talked about this off the podcast. And this doesn't have anything to do with Redneck Tech or Mark Groupie Outdoors, but it's a philosophical question that I heard. And the question is, you would be the only person that possesses this superpower, but if you could choose one superpower, whether it would be to be invisible or whether it would be to fly, which would it be? And these are the types of questions that you have in elk camp when you're delirious and you've walked 8 miles. So I'm going to let Mark go first because he's already answered this and his answer surprised me.
Well, I got the answer wrong, apparently.
No, you didn't get it wrong. You just gave me the answer that I didn't expect.
I wanted to be invisible.
You wanted to be invisible.
And I guess perverts want to be invisible.
that was going to be the
That was the first thing that came out of your mouth was perverts want to be invisible.
Well,
I just wanted to sneak up a little closer to elk and deer and pigs.
They want to do
and
things.
And you called me a freaking pervert.
They want to do things. What would be a good descriptor? They want to do things not above board. People that want to be invisible want to do things not above board. Let's just say that.
Okay, if you're going to fly in and cheat and do something and fly in an elk, I don't call that
So
every time you fly somewhere on a plane, is that cheating?
Well, That doesn't. You can fly the plane as much as you want, but you ain't going to fly it landing good right in the middle of good elk country.
I have
Maybe
a question.
brush
If you fly,
brush plane.
can you hunt moose the same day you fly? Or do you
Well,
have to
see,
wait
and this
24 hours?
so this is what happened is I asked that question to all the guys in camp, and Mark is the only one that said he wanted to be invisible, and Chris, Irwin, myself,
fly.
and Ryer, we wanted to fly. We didn't even bat an eye about it. And so then we had several questions about how fast can you fly, how far can you fly, can you carry things with you, how much weight can you carry? And then you asked the questions of, do you have to be wearing clothes to be invisible? Do you have to run out around stark naked to be invisible? And then it's just, I think the answer tells people a lot about each person's personality, which supposedly people that want to fly are egotistical because they think that they possess all the other things they need. Now flying is the only thing left. So,
well, I mean, it is.
Flying is the only thing left. I think Ryer's got a few things to scratch off the list along with flying.
Oh, what? You're just gonna leave it at that? Come on, let's hear the list. Let's hear the list. You can't just leave it there.
We'll just leave it. Just leave that stand as it is.
But I thought that was a pretty funny question to start off our trip. And this is my first time. I've been in camp with Irwin before. I've never got to be in camp with you guys. I've done a little bit of shooting with Ryer here not too long ago, but this is my first time getting to hunt with Mark. I did get to come out there to your place in California a couple years ago, but we didn't have a chance to hunt. I was only there for like, a day and a half, 2 days, something like that. But it's going to be a fun week. We are actually camping in Idaho, hunting in Wyoming. And
walking to Wyoming.
Yeah, literally walking to Wyoming.
Let's walk to Wyoming, shall we?
Because we can't fly, evidently.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about, what do you say, 2.5, 3 mile walk to get to where we even start to hunt.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's not a hard walk. It's just kind of an annoying walk.
Yeah, and it's just deadhead
But
each way.
Ryer and I went up to the top of the mountain this morning, and Ryer, I want you to describe, because I can't do it without probably saying bad words, our descent this morning. So we went up, got all the way to the top of the highest spot around, got on a bull. He was bugling. We got within 100 yards of his comfort zone, I think. And he bugled. I cut him off, and he took his cows and left the country. So then we proceeded to say, all right, it's time to go back to camp, take a little nap, and try it again this evening. And we proceeded down what I'd like to call Hell's Canyon.
I think that's an appropriate assessment of it. Hell's Canyon, for sure. It was just thick, deadfall, steep. I mean, we were stumbling all over ourselves just trying to make headway. I think it took us, 2 hours?
It took us 2 hours to get down the face of that. And it didn't take us that long to go up. So I learned a couple of things on that trip down that I do not have a future in trailblazing. And it was a rare occasion for me. I was carrying a bow and not a camera. And you were carrying the camera, and I felt for you tremendously because I was hating life, and I know you were carrying that camera. And then, but what people don't realize is when you're carrying a camera, you're not just carrying it. You have to keep it out of limbs. You have to keep things from getting yanked off of it, things broken, drop it, get it rained on. There's so much more than just throwing it over your shoulder and going.
And he's got a 4-foot tripod on that sucker.
Yeah, and pretty much everything we went over, you couldn't put it over your shoulder. You had to hold it.
It was a little bit of an acrobatic maneuver going up the hill, first of all, because going up the hill, trying to get on that elk, we were trying to be quiet, and it was still a little thick going up the hill. Nothing like coming down, but going up was a little tough to try to maneuver the tripod around, get in position, and stay quiet. So that's always fun. You're twisting and contorting and trying to put the tripod different places, and you're different places, and you're running all around the place trying to be quiet. And then going down, it's the same thing, except for now you're trying to protect the camera that's worth more than probably my life. So
see, I physically threw my bow twice.
Yeah, you went all Chris Brackett on your bow, didn't you?
I threw it one time because I knew I wasn't going to get through the spot holding it. And the second time I threw it out of pure disgust of where we were. I fell down on my butt for about the 5th time because I couldn't keep my feet out from under me. I just chucked it. I had to be mad at something, and I guess that's what I was mad at.
Yeah, but it was rough.
Yeah. But
rough.
I want to talk quickly about kind of approach. So we've done a lot of planning and talking about this trip, and we didn't know until, was it 2 weeks ago, Irwin, that you were going to get to come? 3 weeks ago?
Probably 3 weeks ago for sure. Yeah.
So I want Irwin to go through his from the photography side, and then Ryer and I will talk about kind of the approach on the video side, and then kind of let Mark.
Yes, I'll talk about the hunting side.
Yeah, and let Mark talk about how kind of his and Ryer's process of entering a hunt and how you guys plan it too, because you might do something different than most guys. But I want specifically Irwin to talk about when he goes on a trip like this one, which there wasn't a whole lot of planning for this, but obviously he's here, he brought his camera and he wants to take some pictures. So when you approach a trip, what are you thinking about? What's going through your mind? What's the check boxes you're trying to go, get through?
Well, probably just more so than anything, just the same thing you guys are doing with video, just trying to document the day-by-day, step-by-step process of, sunlight coming up, trying to capture elk as they're moving through, but at the same time, just stay out of everybody's way.
And everything that you do, and that's what, a lot of photographers want to be creative, but everything that you do revolves around light. And you want, like, we were standing around right before we went out tonight and the sun was going down and you saw a shot that you had to get. So we took 15 minutes and ran around and got some pretty cool shots just because you saw light. Is that, do you even have to look anymore, or is it just something that just, you see the sun, you know where to go, how to take the picture?
You just kind of know what time of day it is, and you kind of get, I'm just going to say, zoned in to knowing after 4 o'clock, no matter what time zone you're in, light just creates itself. And for me, it's mostly backlight. I'm just drawn to backlight, and you don't care if it's a silhouette, you don't care if it's a weed that's backlit. Then you create the shot around that. Mm-hmm. And then you guys were on the bikes, kind of test driving those today, and it's so dry out here. The dust was just boiling off of the back of that. And it was an easy shoot to throw up. You guys were riding, and, the dust backlit off the bikes with the aspens and color in the background. And, that shot was easy. And then off of that, we just created another shot.
But that kind of gets you going, though. When you see those things, you like to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get into that mode of, after you've done it for so long, it just kind of starts clicking. And then you really, personally anyway, I get to I don't even pay attention to what's going on. You just kind of hit a zone of, okay, let's do it one more time. And then I'll start looking at what I'm doing. I'm like, let's speed up the shutter a little bit. Let's make him go faster. Make him go.
Talk about what you showed me and Ryer today, and I've said many times, and Ryer will say the same. I'm a amateur photographer at best. I enjoy taking pictures. I almost enjoy taking pictures more than I do video now. But you were showing us, like, riding the bikes. We use the back focus button on our Canons. We all run Canon DSLRs. Instead of using that half press shutter button to focus, we've got our. Oh, I do too. Now that I've learned back focus.
I didn't even know I hated it, but today I learned that I do.
Yeah, you hate it. Yeah. So learned everything switched over to that back focus button, and that's how I shoot everything. I've got my focus setting for center. I pull focus, move around the frame where I want.
Recompose.
Take my image. But you showed, like with those bikes riding really fast, to focus, you have to keep pressing that button and keep chasing.
Right.
And, 4 out of 10 images will be in focus. So what is it that you did today? Because we have our set on what's called one shot, correct?
Correct.
And you had yours set on what now?
IO servo. In photography, you'll find there's 9 different ways to do something. It really doesn't matter as long as you achieve what you're really after. And everybody's after something different. A blurred image but if it's not in focus, it hits the trash can.
So and the IO servo, so what you did with that is now all you do is track your subject, hold your back focus button down, and keep popping. Right.
And then just hold down the fire button, because it's going to track. If the subject is coming to you, going away from you, it's going to track it. So there is no out of focus images. There is, but they're
a lot rarer than if you're trying.
Fewer.
A lot fewer.
lot
Well, see,
fewer.
that's something I know I'm going to use immediately once you showed me how to get it. You go to that autofocus button top,
Yep.
which you use a 5D Mark III.
5D Marks. You do. I left the 1DX back at the house mainly because it's a tank. It weighs so daggone much, and I knew this trip was going to be a lot of walking. And took the vertical grip off the 5D Mark III just to kill some weight also at the same time. But the 5D Mark III has a silent shutter mode,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I just you know you're going to be in close, and you don't want to have a shutter going off. So that's why I chose the 5D Mark III.
Well, and when you're running around the mountains, generally, what lenses are you toting with you?
16-35, 24-70, 100-400, and 2 flashes, 4 batteries, a bunch of stuff you really don't need on top of that. I mean, it's, as I'm packing to go home, and I'm like, what did I bring this stuff for? But sure as you don't pack it, that's the one thing you're going to need on day one.
Yeah.
So-
And Mark may or may not be dying off camera if y'all can hear him.
You doing all right over there?
Yeah, he's had a coughing fit. Ryer, talk about, kind of go through what's some of the stuff me and you have talked about, in planning for this. But what's your approach when you're filming? You've been doing a extremely thorough job with trying to get as much talking and content and getting in front of us, getting us walking behind us, and all that good stuff. So that's well needed stuff. So what's your thought process? What's your approach when you're going into shooting something? Well, let's talk specifically this.
Do you want to start from the beginning with the pre-planning? Is that you want to go from there?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's kind of we don't have to go too in depth with it, but
Sure.
I want us to talk about probably this trip and elk trips and specifically instead of just kind of in general.
So we started off, and I knew going into this that we're going to be creating content for a couple of different channels, I guess, so to speak.
That's the hope. Yeah.
Yeah, channels probably isn't the correct term for that, but
Avenues.
avenues. There we go. So we're going to be probably creating something for the community show, which is what I produce day to day with Mark, and then we also wanted to produce something for possibly a film festival.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking of making this into a film, and then we've got some other videos that we're going to make out of this, some promotional spots and things like that with Caleb. So I knew going in that there's a variety of different places this may go, and so I really wanted to be sure that I had the content to be able to fill all of those. And they all kind of have a little bit of they all have different needs, I guess. The community show is formatted more as a television show sort of style, whereas a short film, we're trying to do something a little different with the short film, but we're still also trying to incorporate all of those nice, artsy, big production elements that you typically see when you go to a film fest.
Yeah, we're trying to kill multiple birds with one stone,
Yeah.
which means we've got to film way more than we probably should have to on a normal film trip.
Right, and so that's actually one of the things going into it, and I've been trying to do this for the past couple of hunts, is really be more focused in the shooting aspect of things, and really making sure that when I'm shooting, I know what I have a purpose for the shot in mind. Sometimes the purpose is just it's pretty and this is B-roll. And sometimes the purpose is, okay, we were just having a talking segment. Caleb said something about, we're sitting here glassing this hill over here. So now I know I need to get a shot of that hill.
Mm-hmm.
I know just generally, going into an elk hunt, what are the things that tell the story of an elk hunt? We're traveling, so the whole way here I'm getting traveling footage, I'm getting driving footage, I'm getting, little bits and pieces here and there. We came and set up camp, so I get that stuff. And then throughout the hunt, I'm just always thinking, okay, how do I tell what's happening in this moment with the video?
Yeah. And to break that down, to simplify that a little more, I say to simplify it, because we were talking about this earlier today, is you got to break it down as simply as when you're in the field and you're producing segments or pieces, whether that's a setup in the morning or an actual stock on an animal or a wrap up back at camp. Each one of those scenes has to have 3 things: a beginning, a middle, and an end. And and that may sound complicated, or more than you would need, or whatever, or I don't really know how to explain it. But when you have a beginning, a middle, and end, when I say that, I don't mean you need talking that sets it up, has a middle meat part, and then you close it out with talking again. When I say beginning, a middle, and end, literally those can be 3 shots. A walk up, talking about what we're doing, and a walk away. That's a beginning, a middle, and end. That's 3 shots. So if you do that, if you bookend your content with beginnings and ends every time, you're never going to be missing anything.
And you can take stuff out easier than you can put it in. And that's
you
a
can't
big
put it
strategy.
back in. Once you're not here, you can't put it back in.
That's one of the things that I think about is, if I don't get this right now, am I going to be able to get this later?
Or will I need this later?
Will I need it later? And you don't know, especially with as many things as we may make out of this. There's a lot of things that, we're not 100% sure if we'll need it or if it'll make it.
Yeah.
And generally, a lot of it doesn't make it.
Yeah.
If you don't shoot it, you can't put it in the video later.
Well, and our plan for this is pretty simple at the beginning. Is we're just going to try and film these hunts. We're going to try and do our best of doing all the content creation in the field. We're going to do on camera talking. We're going to have there's not going to be any voiceover. There's not going to be any interviews or any of that crap like every other short film that you've ever seen. It's not going to be anything like that. If we even get to make the film, hopefully we kill some animals. But if we don't, hey, it's public land elk hunting. But with that being said, we have a lot to do, and the beginning of this is going to be just filming the hunts. And I really hope we can kill 1 or 2 elk, and then have time to go do some of those bigger production elements. Some of our drone stuff, some of the gimbal stuff, some of those really pretty time lapses, some of the sunrise, sunsets, all the things that really tell a good story and that really have those big production feels about them to make a quote unquote film, I guess you could say. But
we're gathering some of that stuff as we go along.
Oh yeah, and you will, and especially like when Irwin saw that light today, and he just had to have those shots. I mean, that stuff happens with video all the time. It's a little harder to do on video than with a raw image off of a DSLR, because you can do so much with a raw image off a DSLR. You can't do as much with video, but it's a lot of the concepts parallel. But Irwin and I have been talking about trying to bridge that gap from photography to video and video to photography, and they have a lot of the same parallels, but we're trying to tell the story with 24 frames a second in audio, and he's trying to tell the story with 1 frame or a couple of frames of taking pictures. And I don't know which. I've yet to figure out which one I feel is harder, or which one's easier, I guess would be the same. I think they're both.
I don't think there's any easier or harder. I think they're both very unique in their own ways, and they all have their challenges. And I think it just depends.
Yeah. So now, this is completely off subject, but we just learned this right before the podcast. Irwin, you take cold showers
all summer long.
Just the summer, though.
Well, usually when winter hits, we're on a well, so when winter hits, it's usually, 30-degree water. So you got limitations.
I don't care.
You got limitations, but
I don't care.
Yeah.
I think there's a guy named Wim Hof, isn't there?
There's a what?
Yeah, Wim Hof. He does the I don't know.
Yeah,
Mark might know better.
Yeah, he's the guy that does
Jack's brother. Jack off.
I saw where you were going with that.
Very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that went
always
off.
Quality input from Mark Groupie.
Yeah, no.
If I'm gonna talk, I gotta add something.
What's the shower unit you've got? That little portable shower.
What's it? A Yodi or something? I can't even remember what the brand is.
Yeah,
Yodi,
it's pretty
or
nice.
Something. Yeah, just.
How would you know you took a cold shower?
Yeah, I took a cold shower. Why don't you just go down to the creek and wallow like the elk?
Hey, it's an outdoor shower. Why take a hot shower to roll off sweat?
Because it's
You take a
cold
cold
out.
shower.
Because it's cold. Because cold showers suck.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
And since there was nobody else at camp, I walked around naked to dry off. It was like pretty awesome.
Were you invisible?
I was flying around camp.
But are
I was not
you invisible if nobody's there to see you? So technically,
Oh,
you
that's
are.
right. Yeah.
Philosophy.
Hadn't thought about it that way.
I mean, if the definition is invisible, that no one can see you, he was invisible because.
So does that mean if
no
you just
one, no one could see him?
if you just hide somewhere and you just look through the cracks of a door, you're invisible then, Mark?
I'm invisible.
I see dead people.
I guess in theory we're all invisible to the audience
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
Yeah, true story. Yeah, we're getting deep on this one, guys. We're all delirious or
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. It's what
Well, the killer on you
Almost
and I
10.
yesterday was we drove. I mean, Google says 27 hours,
Yeah,
but
it
that's
was
without
more than-
stopping
more than that.
at all. So it was like 32 hours.
And my watch.
And then we walked.
And my watch says I've got
4 hours.
12.3 miles today. So
6 of which, or three, 4. How many was that downhill?
a lot.
Half.
I don't know.
That's
However
brutal.
much it was hell.
It was bad.
It
If we
counts for at
started
least
here
3
and ended
times.
up here, half was downhill and half was uphill.
That's it.
Well, actually,
so much knowledge in that statement.
the net altitude gain would have been 0.
That's correct, right?
What is the altitude we're at? Did somebody figure that out yet?
It's like in camp, it's like 72, 74, and at the top today it was like 82, 84, something like that.
Ooh, it's pretty on top.
It's higher than I thought. I thought it was going to be like 65-ish. But the terrain, I said the terrain wasn't as bad as my last 2 elk hunts until I came off that hill today, and I retract my previous statement. It was bad.
We're not going to do that again
No, we're not.
Scratch
until we
that
do.
one.
Until we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told Ryer, I said,
Until you're a bugle off to the right.
I said, how bad would that be with an elk quarter on your back? That would have been,
Atrocious.
oh my, I don't even want to talk about it. Oh, Lord. Well, Mark, you got anything to add to this? All your philosophical knowledge?
Oh, where would you like me to start?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think we do. I don't think you
yeah.
want him to start. I promise you.
Probably nobody.
I've got the
probably
experience
nobody
in this.
does.
Just
I don't know what more. I mean, I can add to some of maybe the camping and planning and and the overall trying to do a hunt and video at the same time.
that, and Mark is also a mountain goat, so he likes to walk a lot. He probably
he's
walked.
6'19".
Yeah,
so
I
every
bet
time
he
he takes
did.
a step,
I bet
he's
he
gone
did
5
15.
yards.
I bet he did 15 miles today.
Yeah.
Because me and Ryer, I'll admit it, we stayed in the easier spot. And he's like, I'm gonna go to that next mountain. I was like, you have at it, brother.
Yeah. Well, the
He gets fidgety. He can't sit still for too long.
Well, I just gotta go loiter somewhere. The challenge to me on these things is planning, because you need to plan well, and
Speaking of
I am a
planning,
crappy planner.
Yeah, where's the poles for the?
Yeah, then that's the case. So I was in charge of bringing 3 tents. I brought 3 tents. One of them was missing its poles, and so we've got 2 tents and a couple other goodies that I forgot. So just the challenge for me is trying to think of everything I need, and Ryer's real good about all the cameras, but I've still got in the back of my mind, all his stuff's got to be organized and packed in here, and his considerations. And then I got 9 kids. I only got a few of them at home right now, so leaving is always a fire drill with stuff going on, and so just getting that all together. And then the big part really comes to remember you enjoy hunting, because I've enjoyed hunting all my life, and when you add the stress of trying to pack and plan for a long trip and leave the family and and you got you know this better than anyone, Caleb, that you get home and you don't even get to get home and plan for the next one. I get to get home, I'm home and I'm already planning for the next one, and you don't even get to go home. So there's you've just the constant dirt in front of your blade as you're pushing along.
I'm only think about not gonna get to go home, but I've got everything that I'm shooting has to be edited at some point, and most everything I do is digital, so it needs to be a quick turnaround. And like I was in camp with Dudley last week, and said, when we're going to be able to put some of this together, and I was like, well, first chance I'm going to get to look at it's when I'm back in camp with you in Montana in 2 weeks. So I mean, I've got stuff sitting on a drive that it's got to go out, but if I'm on the road, ain't no way it's getting out. And I've got, I think this runs 25 days, I think, four hunts in a row. So,
well, most of it you're off the grid. You can't even get cell phone coverage.
This is the first. Yeah, we have 0 cell phone coverage here, so I'll have to do all my posting and stuff tomorrow for some of my social media stuff. And
and we're an
call
hour.
the wife.
What was it? An hour drive up a 2-track?
Yeah,
just a dirt 2-track all the way.
I hope I can find my way out tomorrow.
Stay on 147.
And then another thing that is always a challenge is it's not just about shooting an elk or a deer, but it's getting good footage of it while we're doing it. So whenever I'm setting up and making a ground blind or a tree stand or whatever, you got to have a spot where your camera guy can sit comfortably, where he can video.
We prefer producer.
Field producer can sit comfortably and not be seen, because he's got to move around more than I do. I can sit and be still all the way till I'm shooting. He's got to sit there and focus.
I can tell you for 100% fact after today, I've always wondered this because people have wondered, what do you think, which job's harder, the hunter or the producer? And the hunter is the easier job. No doubt. When we were coming off that hill today, I was like, yeah, I know, because I've done some death marches like that Ryer had to do today, and I'm just I was thanking God I wasn't toting that camera today.
We had one last year where we took the camera apart, and he put parts of it in his pack, and I put parts in my pack, and because we needed both hands.
We literally scaled something that people go up for rock climbing. We climbed a vertical cliff to get out of this place.
I don't feel so bad today. I don't feel so bad.
And then
today still sucked.
And then when it wasn't that, it's manzanita that you just gotta claw your way through on. It's
like it was reaching out and just grabbing you.
Yeah, on a hill that's so steep that you can reach out and touch. So yeah, we had to completely take the camera apart because he needed both hands, to walk, to move.
I don't want to do that trip.
No, that one sucked. We scratched that one off the list too.
We're not doing that one again.
Well, like you said, even just the logistics of being able to charge batteries and keep gear organized, keep gear clean.
Wash yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Cold in cold water.
God. No, I won't be doing that.
Maybe it's because I don't want it to look any smaller than it already is. That's why I don't do the cold water thing.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, I think that's about all I can stand tonight, guys. I'm tired. So,
appreciate y'all letting me have the chance to come to the camp with you.
Yeah,
no,
man.
Thanks
special.
Wish you didn't have to go home so early.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mountains were calling, and now it's Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. It's gonna be. It's gonna be 95 when you go home.
Humidity.
It's gonna be 95 when you go home.
Where I lay my head.
All right, we're gonna end on the singing then.
All right, we're out.
Appreciate it, Todd. Peace.
Adios. No nukes.